You are an old soul in a young body. That is why you don't relate to men your own age. They play games. They are unsure. So, you look up. You look for experience. But many older men make a fatal mistake with the Sigma female. They assume your youth means you are naive. They assume your silence means you are submissive. They are wrong. Here are the 9 habits older men have that instantly kill attraction for a Sigma woman. 1. The unsolicited mentor complex. He clears his throat, leans back in his chair with a paternalistic smile, and begins to explain the world to you as if you were a tourist who just arrived on the planet. This is the unsolicited mentor complex, and it is perhaps the single fastest way for an older man to destroy his chances with a Sigma woman. He operates on a linear, outdated equation that suggests age equals wisdom and youth equals ignorance. He looks at you and sees a vessel that needs to be filled with his life experience. He lectures you on how the stock market works, how global politics affect the economy, or the nuances of a classic book he read 20 years ago. He frames this as benevolence. He thinks he is giving you a gift, but to you it feels like theft. He is stealing your time and insulting your intelligence. What he fails to realize is that you are a Sigma female, which means you are a natural autodidact. You do not wait for people to teach you. You hunt for information. You have likely spent sleepless nights obsessively researching the very topics he is now simplifying for you. You have read the white papers, you have analyzed the data, and you have formed your own complex conclusions. When he explains the basics to you, he is not teaching, he is condescending. He is assuming that your silence is a sign of emptiness, when in reality it is a sign that you are assessing his intellectual depth and finding it wanting. This dynamic kills attraction because it shifts the balance of power from a partnership to a hierarchy. He is positioning himself as the professor and you as the student. He wants to be the guide, the sage, the one who molds you. This is fatal. You do not want a father figure. You have a father. You do not need a mentor. You have Google and your own insatiable curiosity. You are looking for an intellectual sparring partner. You want a man who asks what you think, not a man who tells you what he knows. When he interrupts your point to correct you with a piece of elementary wisdom, he is proving that he does not truly see you. He sees a projection of his own ego, a younger audience member who is supposed to be dazzled by his survival. But you are not dazzled. You are bored. You are sitting there, sipping your drink, calculating exactly how many minutes of your life you are wasting on a conversation that offers zero return on investment. The tragedy is that he probably does have things to teach you, but because he offers them as unsolicited lectures rather than shared insights, you shut down. You crave exchange, not instruction. You respect competence, but you despise arrogance. Until he realizes that your youth is not a defect and his age is not a credential, he will remain just another man talking to a woman who stopped listening 10 minutes ago. You need an equal who respects your mind enough to challenge it, not an older man who is simply in love with the sound of his own voice. 2. The financial flex. He waits for the check to arrive, not with the casual indifference of a man who is comfortable with his wealth, but with the theatrical anticipation of a magician about to perform his only trick. He snatches the bill with a flourish. He flashes the heavy platinum card, or he makes sure his luxury watch catches the light at the exact perfect angle while he speaks. This is the financial flex, and for a Sigma woman, it is the most transparent and repulsive display of insecurity a man can offer. He thinks his wallet is his primary value proposition. He operates on a transactional market belief that you are a commodity and he is the buyer, and that if he bids high enough with expensive dinners, trips, and gifts, he will secure the contract of your attention. He thinks he is dazzling you. He thinks he is competing with the broke men of your generation and winning by a landslide. But he is miscalculating the currency you actually value. You are a Sigma female. You do not view money as a personality trait. You view it as a basic tool for survival, a tool that you are perfectly capable of wielding yourself. When he leads with his money, when he makes the price of the wine the focal point of the conversation, he is inadvertently telling you that he has nothing else to offer. He is admitting that his character, his humor, his intellect, and his soul are not enough to hold your interest, so he has to bribe you to stay in the seat. It reeks of compensation. It tells you that he is used to women who are looking for a savior, women who need to be rescued from their own financial incompetence. But you do not need a savior, you need an equal. You take pride in your own hustle. You take pride in the fact that you can buy your own dinner, pay your own rent, and fund your own dreams. When he tries to buy you, he is not honoring you. He is insulting your competence. He is reducing the complex, fiery dynamic of a potential relationship down to a sugar daddy arrangement where his role is to provide and your role is to be grateful. That dynamic bores you to tears. You want a man whose mind is so sharp, whose spirit is so dangerous, and whose presence is so compelling that he could show up in a t-shirt with empty pockets and still command the room. You want to strip away the assets and see the man underneath. If the man underneath is hollow, no amount of credit limit can fill the void. The financial flex implies that he wants to own you, and for a woman who values freedom above oxygen, the attempt to purchase your affection is the ultimate deal-breaker. You are not looking for a sponsor for your lifestyle. You are looking for a partner for your mind, and unfortunately for him, your respect is the one thing his money cannot buy. 3. Weaponized nostalgia, the good old days. He is fighting a war against time that he has already lost, and he is trying to draft you as a soldier in his losing army. This is weaponized nostalgia, a habit that goes far beyond a simple appreciation for history or a fondness for classic rock. It is a chronic, bitter refusal to accept the reality of the present moment. He is stuck in a loop of back in my day, constantly measuring the modern world against a romanticized version of the past and finding the present wanting. He complains about the music, he mocks the technology, he critiques the work ethic of the kids these days, and he scoffs at the tools you use to build your empire. To him, this commentary feels like wisdom. He thinks he is upholding standards. But to you, the Sigma woman, it sounds like the death rattle of adaptability. You are a visionary. You are obsessed with evolution, optimization, and the future. You do not look back because you are not going that way. You view the changing world not as a threat, but as a landscape of new data to be analyzed and exploited. When he spends their entire dinner conversation ranting about how things used to be better in 1995, he is proving that his neuroplasticity has calcified. He has stopped learning. He has stopped growing. He has decided that the peak of civilization coincided perfectly with his own youth, and everything since then has been a decline. This dynamic is exhausting because it forces you to become the ambassador of the present. You have to explain the new world to him, defend the efficiency of modern tools, or simply endure his negativity. It feels like you are dating a ghost who is haunting his own life. A Sigma woman needs a partner who is agile, someone who can navigate the chaos of the digital age with the same sharpness he used in the analog age. When he resists change, he signals that he is fragile. He signals that he can no longer compete in the current marketplace of ideas, so he has chosen to attack the market itself. It kills attraction because deep down you know that survival belongs to the adaptable. By clinging to the good old days, he is anchoring himself to a sinking ship, and he expects you to go down with him. But you are not an anchor, you are a sail. You want to catch the wind of the future and see where it takes you. You want to talk about AI, about the geopolitical shifts of tomorrow, about the new frontiers of human potential. You do not want to hear another lecture on why people don't talk to each other anymore, or why the internet ruined dating. You are living in the now, building for the tomorrow, and you cannot afford to carry the dead weight of a man who is emotionally living in a time capsule. You need a co-pilot who is looking through the windshield, not staring obsessively into the rearview mirror, mourning a world that no longer exists. Pause for a second. That obsession with the good old days. It's draining. I want to know, have you ever dated a man who treated the present like a mistake? Type future-focused in the comments if you refuse to live in the past. And make sure you're subscribed if you're building an empire, not a museum. Now, if his obsession with history is annoying, this next habit is straight-up disrespectful. It's about how he talks to you. 4. The sweetheart condescension. It often happens in the middle of a debate, or perhaps right after you have made a sharp, valid point that challenges his worldview. He will smile that tight, benevolent smile, lean in and drop the verbal grenade. Listen, sweetheart, or worse, you'll understand when you're older, kiddo. These are not terms of endearment, they are tools of hierarchy, and he is wielding them like a weapon to put you back in your place. The sweetheart condescension is a subtle, insidious attempt to reframe the dynamic of the relationship from that of two equals to that of a parent and a child. He is using his age as a podium to talk down to you, disguising his dismissal as affection. For the Sigma woman, this is not charming, it is an act of war. You instantly recognize the microaggression for what it is. He is uncomfortable with your intelligence, intimidated by your sharpness, or threatened by your autonomy, so he attempts to neutralize you by shrinking you. He tries to force you into the role of the princess, the cute, naive, soft creature who needs to be guided and protected. But you are not a princess. You are a queen. There is a massive difference. A princess is a dependent who relies on the king for her status. A queen is a sovereign ruler who commands her own empire. When he calls you young lady in a serious conversation, he is denying your sovereignty. He is ignoring the fact that you have built your own life, fought your own battles, and survived your own wars. He sees your youth, but he fails to see your mileage. This linguistic pat on the head kills attraction instantly because it signals that he does not respect your competence. He thinks he is dating a subordinate. He expects you to giggle, blush, or submit to his wisdom. Instead, he gets the Sigma stare, that cold, unblinking look that tells him he has just made a fatal error. You realize that if he cannot distinguish between a child and a grown woman, he lacks the perception required to handle you. You are not looking for a father figure to scold you or a mentor to mold you. You are looking for a partner who is secure enough to look you in the eye and address you with the reverence you deserve. If he has to lower your status to feel secure in his own, he is too small for you. You cut him off, not because you are overly sensitive, but because you have a zero-tolerance policy for disrespect. You know that if you allow him to sweetheart you during a disagreement today, he will be dismissing your dreams tomorrow. You demand to be addressed as an equal, and if his vocabulary is limited to the patronizing scripts of the past, he is simply not qualified to hold a conversation with your future. 5. Expecting submission as tradition. He hides his deep-seated need for control behind the respectable gold-plated armor of the word traditional, and this semantic trickery is one of the most dangerous traps a Sigma woman can encounter. He walks into the relationship with a script from the 1950s tucked in his pocket, expecting you to play the role of the supporting actress in the movie of his life. He looks at your quiet nature, your lack of desire to be the center of attention, and your calm demeanor, and he makes a catastrophic miscalculation. He mistakes your introversion for submissiveness. He assumes that because you are not loud, you are docile. He assumes that because you are not fighting for dominance in the conversation, you are willing to be dominated in the relationship. He is looking for a soft, domestic, compliant partner who will tend to the home fires while he conquers the world, and he thinks he has found that in you. He is wrong. He has not found a house cat. He has found a lioness who simply prefers to hunt alone. The Sigma woman does not serve a master. She serves her own purpose. You are the CEO of your own existence, the captain of your own soul, and the architect of your own reality. When he tries to impose his traditional expectations on you, expecting you to cook, clean, or defer to his judgment simply because he possesses a Y chromosome, it feels like a violation of your fundamental nature. It is not that you hate cooking or caring for a home, it is that you hate the expectation of it. You hate the assumption that your gender dictates your utility. He fails to realize that for a Sigma woman, submission is not a default setting. It is a gift that is earned, and it is rarely given in the way he understands it. You might choose to support a partner, but you will never obey a ruler. The friction arises when he tries to put you in a box. He wants you to be smaller so he can feel bigger. He wants you to be quieter so he can hear himself think. He frames this as natural order, but you see it for what it is, a cage. And a Sigma woman would rather die in the wilderness than live in a cage, no matter how gilded the bars are. Tradition is fine when it is a mutual agreement, a dance of masculine and feminine energies that honors both parties. But when tradition is used as a weapon to strip you of your autonomy, it becomes tyranny. You value your freedom above all else, the freedom to think, the freedom to move, the freedom to change your mind, and the freedom to lead. When he demands submission as the price of admission to his life, the cost is simply too high. You realize that he doesn't want a partner, he wants a subordinate. He wants a fan, he wants a shadow. You are none of those things. You are a sovereign entity. The moment he tries to clip your wings to make you fit into his domestic fantasy, the attraction evaporates, replaced by a cold, steely resolve to walk away and find a man who isn't afraid of a woman who owns herself. 6. The fragile ego trap. He tells you, with all the confidence in the world, that he is tired of girls and that he finally wants a real woman. He claims he wants a challenge, a partner who can stand toe-to-toe with him, someone with fire and intelligence. It sounds perfect. It sounds like the partnership you have been searching for. But this is the trap. He falls in love with the idea of a strong woman, but the reality of her terrifies him. The moment you actually display that strength, not just in theory, but in practice, the atmosphere in the room changes instantly. The fragile ego trap snaps shut the second you outsmart him in a debate, correct a factual error he made in front of his friends, or perhaps reveal that your investment portfolio is outperforming his. Suddenly, the charming, benevolent older man vanishes, replaced by a sullen, defensive or passive-aggressive adversary. You see his jaw tighten. You hear the tone of his voice drop. He withdraws his affection as punishment for your competence. He cannot handle the cognitive dissonance of dating a younger woman who is seemingly ahead of him in any metric. He has built his self-worth on the shaky foundation of being the provider, the teacher, and the superior intellect in the relationship. When you prove that you do not need his provision, that you already know the lesson, and that your intellect rivals his own, his entire identity fractures. This reaction is repulsive to a Sigma woman because you are not competing with him, you are simply existing. You did not correct him to humiliate him, you corrected him because you value the truth. You did not earn that money to emasculate him, you earned it because you are ambitious. When he takes your success as a personal attack, it reveals a profound inner weakness. It tells you that his confidence is conditional. He is only confident as long as he is the smartest person in the room, and specifically, smarter than you. A Sigma woman cannot survive in an environment where she has to dim her light just to keep her partner's ego from shattering. It is exhausting to constantly manage his feelings, to pretend to be confused so he can explain things, or to downplay your achievements to protect his pride. You are not a rehabilitation center for insecure men. You need a man whose internal structure is made of steel, not glass. You need a partner who sees your power and says, "Good, that makes us stronger," not one who sees your power and thinks, "This makes me weaker." The ultimate attraction for a Sigma female is a man who is secure enough to applaud her victories without feeling like he has lost something. If he resents your strength, he is not a king. He is a tyrant, terrified of a coup. And you, knowing your worth, will simply walk away, leaving him to find a smaller woman who fits comfortably inside the small space of his fragile ego. Let's stop there. That look on his face when you win, that's the moment the mask slips. Be honest, have you ever had to dumb yourself down just to keep the peace with an older man? If you are done shrinking yourself to fit his ego, hit the like button right now. We don't dim our light for anyone. But sometimes the problem isn't that he's fragile, it's that he has stopped moving entirely. 7. Stagnation, the settled mindset. He sits in his comfortable chair surrounded by the trophies of his past victories, and he exhales the long, heavy sigh of a man who has decided that the race is finally over. This is the settled mindset, and it is the silent, suffocating killer of attraction for a Sigma woman. He operates under the fatal delusion that life is a linear mountain to be climbed, and once you reach a certain age, a certain job title, or a certain tax bracket, you are allowed to set up camp, light a fire, and sleep for the rest of your existence. He has stopped growing. He thinks he has arrived. You look at his nightstand and you see no new books, only the same opinions he has held for 30 years. You look at his body and see a man who has accepted decline as inevitable rather than a challenge to be fought. You look at his eyes and you see the fire has gone out, replaced by a glazed look of contentment. He is coasting on the momentum of work he did 2 decades ago. To the average woman, this might look like stability. It might look like he is a good provider who has earned his rest. But to you, the Sigma female, this looks like spiritual death. You are a biological machine designed for constant, ruthless evolution. You are obsessed with the Japanese concept of Kaizen, continuous improvement. You believe that if you are not getting better, you are getting worse, because in nature, there is no such thing as standing still. There is only growth or decay. When you are tethered to a man who has chosen decay, it feels like you are dragging a corpse up the side of a cliff. He becomes dead weight. He wants to talk about the glory days and relive his greatest hits. You want to talk about the next conquest and the empire you haven't built yet. He wants to spend his weekends relaxing because he hates his week. You want to spend your weekends building because you are obsessed with your mission. The friction here is not just a difference in energy levels, it is a fundamental war over the definition of life. He views time as something to pass comfortably. You view time as a weapon to be sharpened. This stagnation manifests in every area of his life. His curiosity withers, his adaptability vanishes, and he begins to resent your ambition because it reminds him of the drive he lost. He tries to pull you down to his level, telling you to take it easy, or asking, why isn't this enough? But for a Sigma, enough is a concept that does not exist. The distance between you is not measured in years, it is measured in velocity. You are moving at Mach speed towards a better version of yourself, and he is standing frozen in the concrete of his own comfort zone, gathering dust. Eventually, the gap becomes impossible to bridge, not because you stopped loving him, but because you simply outran him. You cannot slow down to wait for a man who has decided that he is finished living, so you cut the rope and keep climbing alone. 8. Possessiveness disguised as protection. He frames it as concern, wrapping his surveillance in the soft, loving language of safety to disguise the iron grip of his control. He asks where you are, not because he is genuinely curious about your day, but because he is checking the coordinates of his asset. He glances at your phone screen when a notification lights up, not out of casual interest, but out of a desperate, gnawing need to assess a threat. This is possessiveness disguised as protection, and for the older man dating a younger Sigma woman, it is the most common and pathetic mask he wears. He uses his age as a license to police your existence, operating under the paternalistic assumption that his years on this earth grant him the authority to manage your movements. He tells you that he knows how men think, implying that because he is a man, he possesses some secret, dark knowledge about the predatory nature of the male gender that you, in your youthful naivety, could not possibly understand. He insists on driving you everywhere, or picking you up, or knowing exactly who will be at the party, and he becomes visibly agitated if you mention plans that do not include him. He claims he is just looking out for you. He claims the world is a dangerous place, and he is your shield. But you are a Sigma woman. You are not a damsel in distress. You are the dragon. You know exactly how men think because you have been observing human behavior with the precision of a forensic profiler your entire life. You do not need a bodyguard for your own reality. When he tries to protect you from the world, what he is actually doing is protecting himself from the reality of your freedom. This behavior kills attraction because it reeks of deep-seated insecurity. He is terrified. He looks at your youth, your beauty, and your vibrant energy, and he compares it to his own aging reflection in the mirror. He knows, deep down in the darkest corners of his psyche, that he cannot compete with the sheer volume of attention you receive simply by walking down the street. So, instead of trusting you to handle that attention with loyalty, he tries to eliminate the competition by eliminating your exposure to it. He wants to keep you in a silo where he is the only man who exists. It is not about your safety, it is about his ownership. He fears that if you are left unsupervised for too long, you will wake up and realize that you have options, better options. For a Sigma woman who values autonomy more than oxygen, this tightening of the leash is an act of violence against her soul. You cannot breathe in a cage, no matter how protective the cage claims to be, and no matter how gold-plated the bars are. You realize that his care is actually a lack of trust in your judgment. He treats you like a child who might wander into traffic, rather than a woman who knows how to navigate the highway. The moment you feel that suffocation, the relationship is already over. He just hasn't realized that by trying to hold on to you so tightly, he has squeezed the life out of the connection. Hold on. That tightening of the leash? It's the ultimate red flag. Does he blow up your phone when you're out with friends? Let me know in the comments, type "not a child" if you block that energy immediately. Because here is the irony. If he thinks he can control you, he also thinks he can fool you. And that brings us to his final and biggest mistake. 9. Underestimating your intuition. He looks you in the eye and tells a lie with the smooth, practiced confidence of a man who has been negotiating deals and navigating the grey areas of morality for 40 years. It might be a small lie about where he was, a subtle omission about his past, or a calculated misdirection to cover his tracks. He does it without stuttering, without sweating, and with a smile that has disarmed hundreds of people before you. He believes his age is a shield. He believes his experience has made him a master of deception, and you, being younger, are the naive audience who will applaud the trick. This is the fatal error of underestimating your intuition. And it is the moment the relationship effectively ends, even if you don't tell him for another 2 weeks. He fails to understand that a Sigma woman does not need years of experience to detect a lie. She needs only milliseconds of observation. Your intuition is not magic, and it is not a gut feeling in the mystical sense. It is a high-speed, military-grade pattern recognition system. You are a sentient surveillance system. While he is speaking, you are not just listening to the words, you are cross-referencing his tone with his baseline behavior. You are analyzing the micro-tremors in his facial muscles, and you are noting the split-second delay between his thought and his speech. You see the pupils dilate. You hear the frequency of his voice drop. You notice that he looked to the left when he should have looked to the right. He thinks he is wearing a mask, but to you, his face is made of glass. The tragedy of this dynamic is his arrogance. He assumes that because he has lived longer, he understands human nature better than you do. He assumes that youth equates to blindness. He does not realize that you have spent your entire life in the shadows, observing, analyzing, and dissecting human behavior to survive in a world that often feels alien to you. When he tries to manipulate you, he is not just lying, he is insulting your intelligence. That is the true crime. You can forgive a mistake, but you cannot forgive the assumption that you are stupid enough to be fooled. When he plays these games, he thinks he is being clever, but he is actually revealing his own mediocrity. He is showing you that he lacks the courage to be authentic. He is showing you that he relies on control rather than connection. And the funniest part, he mistakes your silence for success. He thinks that because you didn't scream, cry, or call him a liar on the spot, he got away with it. He doesn't know that your silence is the sound of the jury deliberating. It is the sound of you updating his mental file from potential partner to liability. You do not argue with a liar because that would give him the chance to improve his lie. You simply let him talk, let him dig his own grave, and let him believe he is the smartest person in the room until the very moment you hand him his eviction notice. He isn't playing you, he is playing himself. And you are simply the audience watching his final performance before the curtain drops permanently. Here is the raw, unvarnished truth that cuts through the noise of societal judgment and gets to the bleeding heart of the matter. The failure of these relationships is never about the math. It is never about the 10, 20, or 30 years that separate your birth dates. The age gap is a distraction that people use to simplify a complex dynamic. The real killer, the silent assassin that strangles the connection before it can even breathe, is the respect gap. You, as a Sigma woman, do not care about a number. You are not looking for a father to replace the one you have, nor are you looking for a peer to play games with. You are attracted to competence. You are attracted to the raw, undeniable power of a mind that has been sharpened by the world. But here is the critical distinction that most men miss. Living a long time does not automatically make a man competent. If he has spent 40 years practicing bad habits, avoiding self-reflection and blaming others for his failures, he is not wise. He is just a veteran of his own mediocrity. If an older man cannot respect your autonomy, if he cannot look at your intellect without feeling the urge to correct it, or if he cannot witness your power without trying to contain it, then his experience is worse than useless. It is toxic. It becomes a weapon he uses to keep you small, a gavel he uses to overrule your intuition. He looks at you and sees a fountain of youth, a shiny object, a trophy that proves to the world he is still relevant, still virile, and still capable of capturing a high-value prize. He wants you on his arm to soothe his fear of mortality, to make his friends jealous, and to validate his own ego. He wants a passenger for his journey. But you are not a rehabilitation center for his aging ego, and you are certainly not an accessory to his midlife crisis. You are looking for a king. You are looking for a strategic alliance, a partner with whom you can merge resources, visions, and energy to build an empire that will outlast you both. You need a co-commander who values your radar as much as his own map. If he cannot rise to that level, if he cannot meet your gaze with the humility of a man who knows that wisdom flows both ways, then he ceases to be a potential partner. He transforms instantly in your eyes. He is no longer a distinguished, mysterious older gentleman. He is simply an old man standing in your way, blocking the light, and taking up space that belongs to someone who can actually handle the weight of your ambition. So, I want to ask you a question that might make you uncomfortable, but it is necessary for your evolution. Have you ever dated an older man who tried to manage you like an unruly employee rather than love you like an equal? Did you feel that subtle, suffocating pressure to be less than who you are just to make him feel more than who he is? How did you handle it? Did you shrink to fit his narrative, or did you sever the tie? Tell us your story in the comments below. Your experience is data for the sisterhood, and your silence serves no one. If you refuse to be talked down to by anyone, regardless of their age, their bank account, or their status, smash that like button as a declaration of your independence. Subscribe to this channel to join the elite. 1% of women who know their worth is not defined by their youth, but by the sovereignty of their mind. And if you want to know what a real equal looks like, someone who matches your fire rather than trying to extinguish it, click this video right here to learn about the signs of a high-value Sigma male. Stay sharp, stay dangerous, stay sovereign.